lucid expectations attached to these walls in my room. These things have expanded beyond the capacity of my room until it is destroyed totally from their pressure and caprice, but slowly in bits and gradations of a curious light, the color of the wings of the neutral angels, those ones who, they say, in a ring, a circle, brought down the grail from the heavens. First, your ears ring as you sleep, as if you were a kennel dog descending in the cage hole of a jet. Yet suddenly an epiphany arises unexpectedly within the flushed radiance of your dream. And as you wake, the tapestries on two walls begin to unravel as the thin worn threads drop in curls like smoke to the floor. The figures on them in armor on white horses scream, bewildered and fading forever. In corners, perplexed memories, long lost, clash against each other in arcs of blue light. Ashes fall, and the silent scent of ice fills you, fills the room, fills the morning, fills it with a flammable nostalgia until it all just explodes. It explodes with a sound like someone screaming, baby, 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 and after that, a long hiss of something like steam, the last vapors of my dreams, and it sounds like James Brown singing, please, please, please. My poems are, first of all, like the other category you spoke about. A lot of people do come up to me after readings and say, I got a completely different take on that piece, especially poems or prose poems, like in the Book of Nods especially. There's a whole section of prose poems, like short stories, very surreal. And they thought that, you know, they had never gotten the thing as a whole narrative, like short story in a sense. It seemed more fragmented to them when they were reading it on the page, because some of them almost have to be like made into theater and acted out in a certain way, you know, and then they get what's happening in it. If they're completely fragmented, like some of them are, then they just by hearing it made concrete, and by my phrasing and inflection and the caesuras and things like that, or the caesura, I guess, it makes it, you know, something indelible in their mind. It doesn't change the meaning of it. I mean, it might change the meaning of it for them, but it doesn't have to make it just one meaning. I mean, if 5 different people get 5 different meanings out of a song lyric of mine, or a poem, or a prose piece for that matter, it's fine with me. That's exactly what I want, you know. I want them to make it their own. I want them to be able to make videos in their heads.
Herbie pushed Tony for the Boys Club groove. Tony thought that's great, it was just some groove. But Herbie showed me Tony some kitchen proof. Herbie said, Tony, can you fly? Tony couldn't fly. Tony died. Tony died. On a narco rat, he feeds a rat by ratting on some fighters. And yeah, it's dangerous, but it sure beats rikers. But the next day he got off on the very same fighter. Oh, other people who died. People who died. Other people who died. People who died. All my friends, they died.
That's why I kind of balked at doing videos with my songs, you know. I did one, there's some videos of my songs from like when I played myself in some of those, like, teenage movies, you know, like Tough Turf or something. I played myself in it, and I did a few songs on stage. I did It's Too Late and Voices or something, and so they made some videos out of that, you know. And another one where I did People Who Died. But the only other video I ever made was of Sweet Jane, which is Lou Reed's song, and which Lou was in the video with me. And I figured it was okay to do that because it was somebody else's song. I just didn't want people putting, you know, like one objective image onto images which I wanted to be subjective to the audience, you know. I don't feel that way now, actually. I think that you can make a video that's probably abstract enough. I think that's probably the realm which video will have to go in, you know.
Some people from my friend Bill Berkson, who throughout the 60s was a perennial choice, especially in Esquire and the other fashion magazines' 10 best-dressed men in America's list. This guy got more ass than a toilet seat. I remember one time being at the fancy, like, show business people hang out, restaurant Elaine's with him, and Tina Louise, the woman who played the starlet on Gilligan's Island. In all seriousness, sitting across the table from him, and like with these eyes as big as saucers that like 15 cats could have lapped milk off, looked at Bill and took his hand and started singing, "I'm in the mood for love." God, man, he was getting it. But sometime around 1969, he grew his hair long and started giving away his fancy duds to his poet friends. He became a total hippie. It was an amazing scene, this giveaway. Bill was living uptown then on 57th Street. Actually, he was letting me stay with him out on the couch. And you had all these seedy poets arriving at his apartment in their Goodwill threads and then returning to the Lower East Side in breezy white Panama suits, including the hat and all. I remember Ted Berrigan strolling barrel-chested down St. Mark's Place wearing a Rudy Gernrich Nehru jacket 3 sizes too small. Ted was in this period then where everything was minimal sculpture, you know, like you see a chewing gum wrapper on the street. Minimal sculpture.
I made a pretty clear choice about that when I started to do music. Because my earlier poems, the ones that were kind of in my prodigy period, were kind of pretty fancy, actually. They were more French and, well, German influenced, you know, and they were very lush and esoteric in a certain way, you know. I think that's because of the Basketball Diaries, I had to, which everybody thought of as this like street rap, which was very, you know, wonderful in its naivete and ingenuousness, you know. I had to compensate for that by showing a certain sophistication in my poems, you know. And that's why those are the poems that I would usually read at a university and stuff, you know. Although I could look at like Living at the Movies, my earliest book of poems, which I guess are poems from when I was about 15 to 20. I mean, there's also some pretty wild poems in there too, so, but there's also some poems that, like, I would never have gone in that direction when I started to do music. I thought, you know, at first of making my lyrics very arty, you know, and very, you know, abstract almost, but abstraction just for the sake of it is kind of useless. And I thought this is an incredible medium, you know. I mean, when you're a poet, you could kind of write for other poets at times, you know, and to kind of just, you know, show off your style, you know. But there's a danger to that because you could cover up any lies and, you know, vacuousness in a facade of clever style, you know.
It's when the sea drops into the night, darkness is one moment of light. That's when everything seems clear. The other side seems so big. Whoa, sing wrong. I think it's gonna be just about right. When the CT drops, it goes down into the night. It's when the door to the river, that door is like 26 miles. It's when ambitious little girls start to dream about a change in style. It's when the boys got their fingers, they got their fingers in the telephone dial. But I think I'll just wait a while.